Hello and welcome. You're watching Your Trades on ET now with me, Snehisha, and with me as always is my co-anchor Priyanka. And well, Priyanka, another somber day of trade.
Yeah.
You know, it feels like we're into a habit of saying this every day.
If you notice that the range is narrowing down.
Yes, it's looking good.
Yeah.
It's been improving, but nonetheless, we've ended
at least
the day
volatility,
in the red.
what it seems like, maybe there is now more days to come, and then maybe it gets stemmed here, or maybe in a days to come.
Maybe, let's hope so. But other than that, quarter two earnings have also been so tempered, Priyanka. There's not much that we can actually predict when it comes to where we can see this bottoming out. But don't worry for that. We have technical experts on the show who will join us. But a quick check on what the markets did today, and let's take a look at everything that took place. You had the Nifty that was in the red throughout the course of the day, just opened mildly in the green, but after that, it's only been in one shade, and that's red. You have Nifty coming in at 24,399, just almost 0.1% lower, very shy of that 24,400 mark, but nonetheless, it's closed lower than that. Sensex also rather flat, but above the 80,000 mark. India Wix, however, was lower by 4.5%, so that was something positive that happened for the markets today. Nifty Bank was the clear outperformer in today's trade, almost 0.6% higher is where Nifty Bank was. If you take a look at what the broader markets have done, it's a weak show coming in from the broader markets also today, because you have Nifty Mid Cap that was down 0.3%, Nifty Small Cap also was gaining at one point in the day, but towards the second half of the day, that also tempered down and went lower by 0.2%. Largely, this is what has been up with the markets today. Sectorally, PSU banks clear outperformers today. It's been a good day for the financial packs overall, the financial pact overall as well. Nifty PSU Bank up 1.2%, Nifty Bank followed by that up 0.6%. Pharma, Energy and Nifty Services, Financial Services, all of these have ended in the green. On the flip side, you have Nifty Media, Nifty IT, Metal, Auto, Realty, FMCG. All of these stocks have ended the day in the red today. Nifty FMCG top sectoral loser, obviously weighed by the comments and the lack of that volume growth we saw coming in from HUL's numbers. So that's something that the street did not like today. Nifty FMCG down 2.8%, heavily weighed upon by HUL.
Absolutely. The growth is slowing down. That's what very clearly what we saw from HUL, and the trend has flipped. Earlier, you were talking about that when would the time come when rural recovery will take place. Rural seems to be doing better than what urban. Now the consumption slowdown is very visible in the urban cities, tier 2, tier 3 city, and hence defensive packs, these are called FMCG consumption pack, and they are the most which have taken the maximum hit. Now, but then three very clear things. Of course, the foreign selling, the persistent FIIs selling, weak corporate earnings, and of course, one more factor which actually weighted on the market, Snehi, was the RBI minutes which it came from, the October minutes. Now, of course, the central bank has very clearly indicated, they've signaled that their priority would be to tackle inflation, and maybe we are not very near to a rate cut, and that's what has maybe hammered the sentiment further. But then, of course, a bad day, but yes, range is narrowing down for clear. Banks were not doing that bad today. If you look at HDFC Bank, post the number, it has not lost, it has stood tall since the time the numbers have came in. 1750 we are near HDFC Bank. In fact, Axis Bank, even IndusInd Bank before the numbers, all the private set of banks, and in fact for that matter SBI, that was also closed with strength. So banks have not been doing that well. Yes, of course the broader market that has taken a massive hit, but stocks like individual, the one entire news which dominated the stocks like Escorts and Sona, that took the major of the attention of traders was Escorts, which was down by 5%. Sona BLW, that has announced the acquisition of Escorts Kubota's railway division. Now the Sona Comstar, that stock did open with a gap up, but then there was more room post that it opened. It closed by with a 12% of gain, and of course there's an argument that analysts talk about that the deal is at a discount, but the management find it as a valuation, at a fair valuation. That's what we saw, that a recovery also came in Escorts. So at one point in time it flipped till 10%, but then later recovered to close at nearly 5% of loss. But then clearly volatility seems to be narrowing down. Range was narrowed, but yes, we did see another session of selling in the Indian markets now. Now, to talk about the levels on index, on Bank Nifty, on Nifty and Bank Nifty, we have Nilesh Jain, who's the head of derivatives and technical research with Centrum Broking. Nilesh, thank you so much for joining us. tell us, that we have, there's just like another day. But of course, now the caveat are different. Now the volatility also it's not at that peak levels where we started maybe. Of course, now, the kind of movement we saw on Indian markets, similarly, US markets also started on a bad note. More of like the sentiment is getting deteriorating day by day. You talk about the FI selling or corporate earning. Now even the minutes from the RBI which is coming. All negative news. Are we, is everything priced in, or are we yet to see more pain here?
Very good afternoon to you, Priyanka. So overall, as you have rightly pointed out, we have seen a constant selling from the FIIs for the almost 15-16 consecutive session, and highest record selling that we have seen in a month from the FIIs. I think looking at the price action today and yesterday, I think most of the worst has already been discounted now. Although there could be possibility of another leg on the lower side, but that not be a major one. Some consolidation is something that we are expecting now. Yesterday, Nifty formed an inverted hammer kind of candlestick formation. Today, it has formed a doji candle. So these are the signs of some sort of taking a pause in the current downtrend. And we are expecting a kind of a relief rally from here. Today was a weekly FN expiry, and expiry span out on a positive side. I would say Nifty defended 24,400 mark on a closing basis. That's certainly a positive sign. Secondly, today Indavix was down 5%. So certainly the things are cooling off, and that will certainly help the index to pull on the upside. And on the upside, as far as levels are concerned, 24,500 is the important resistance. Multiple, I would say, factors are there. So important level 24,500, because 100-day moving average is placed at exactly those levels. In the coming week, we also have FN expiry on a monthly October series point of view. So the data suggests that 24,500, the call writers are very much active at that particular strike. And today we have seen huge amount of addition at 24,400 on the put side. So that's the 100-point trading range. Whichever side it will break, we can expect 100 to 200 point in that particular direction. Now coming to Bank Nifty, where we are getting more comfort, Bank Nifty looks positive, and a fresh long can also be taken at current level. We expect this momentum to continue towards 52,000 to 52,500. The support is at 51,000. So any dip can be used as a buying opportunity. I think Bank Nifty should lead the rally from here.
Thanks for that view coming in, and also the key levels to watch out for. But in a market like this, it's very clearly a stock because market right now. What stocks are you betting on? Where are you seeing value right now?
Right. So I have a couple of buy ideas. If you look at the structure of the ICICI Prudential Life, we have seen a good breakout coming in today. The OI data, if you look at derivative setup, where we have seen more than 2% OI has been added. So good long build-up is happening. Technical breakout can also be seen. So we expect a follow-up move to continue towards the levels of 801. Stop loss can be placed somewhere around 758. Now, another sector where we expect a strong reversal in the trend, that would be OMC stocks. So within that space, HPCL is one particular stock that is looking positive, where we have witnessed a good build-up on the long side in today's trading session. And also technically, it has formed a bullish engulfing candlestick formation after a fall of 3 consecutive sessions. So we expect a strong pullback in HPCL as well towards the levels of 420. Stop loss can be placed somewhere around 393.
Nilesh, thanks for joining in. So 2 buy calls coming in from Nilesh. From a market like this, hard to find buy calls, but you've got 2 calls for us. But then let's get you the numbers from IndusInd Bank. Now, NII, that is up 5.3% on a Y-on-Y basis. It has come in at 5,347 crore, whereas the earlier figure was 5,077. PAT has actually disappointed. It's down by nearly 39%. Y-on-Y figures it is. In fact, it's NPA, gross NPA as well as net NPA. That has also deteriorated. GNPA, if you talk about on quarter-on-quarter basis, it has deteriorated by 9 BPS points, and net NPA, that has also deteriorated by 4 BPS points. But the major hit is coming in from NII and even PAT. If you talk about other elements, PPOP, which is down again 7.5% on a quarter-on-quarter basis. This is 3,592 crores, which has come in. Earlier, the figure was 3,881 crore. Provisioning, however, provisioning has again gone up. It's now 87% up from last year's figure. Last year it was 974 crores. Now this year the provisioning is 1820 crores. So looks like, the market had a little idea about IndusInd. If you notice from last 2 days, IndusInd Bank was also sliding from where it was trading. Today, though, it managed to close in green because I think momentum was shifting towards bank side. But then this numbers, for sure, not from the face of it, at the first look, doesn't look that good numbers.
Absolutely, the straight was penciling in a weak quarter coming in for IndusInd, but it's been a largely what we were expecting for net interest income was 5,494 crores, and this is 5,347, largely in line coming in with the net interest income number, but it's a big miss coming in on the PAT. It's an even bigger miss coming in on the NIMs. NIMs have declined much more than what we were expecting at 4.2. It's just come at 4.08%, so big miss on that front as well. Return on assets has come in at just 1%. It's a 90 bips cut coming in. Return on equity at 8.11%. It's a 722 bips cut coming in on a year-on-year basis. So in fact, it's a big miss across all of these numbers. Even the net profit is a miss. Net interest income, however, largely in line, but it's a miss across all the major parameters that we look for when we measure the banking results as well. And we'll be eager to see how the stock reacts tomorrow. But let's move away from these numbers and going forward, what are the themes that are likely to lead gains? Let's listen into what Dinshaw Irani has on his radar. He also has financials and IT, but let's get his take on what he's making out of both of these sectors.
Financial services will definitely be outperformer. I mean, the banking space itself, which has been a real laggard all these while. I mean, after COVID, I don't think the banking space has done much as such. I think that should see a pickup, especially after RBI starts infusing some liquidity into the system. I mean, obviously, the deposit raising will become easier. Obviously, there'll be a lot of demand from the consumers and stuff like that. So that's why that space, and plus, secondly, the wealth managers, the exchanges, I think these are exciting spaces to be in. So these may be the leaders of the pack going forward. Obviously, IT is another one that we are very keen on. I think that will be another leader going forward, because as things start improving, by the way, the call is that there's only going to be a soft landing in the US. If anything, it's going to be a steady pace that US is growing at. And the strength of the economy has been phenomenal as such. So I believe that IT should continue its mid-teen kind of growth going forward. So that's why we are very keen on that.
Shah's view on IT looks positive, and in fact, he's been mentioning about AMC and the wealth management stocks. He's spoken about those pockets again while we spoke to him. He's here for a short break here. More to come on the other side of the break. Don't go away. Welcome back. You're watching Your Trades on ET Now. Gets you action from the derivative space. Of course, the way it appeared, maybe being Nifty expiry today, there could be some respite which we can see on Nifty, or maybe there could be unwinding of the trades. But then the trend continues to be the same, which it was from the start of this week itself. Short built up on trend on the Nifty, but then Bank Nifty, there was some sort of short covering which we saw today. Now how long this lasts with the numbers like IndusInd Bank coming in today. Let's see how we react on the banking stocks tomorrow again. But then there is an massive call writing which we've seen on the immediate strikes. Now the immediate strikes like 25,000, 24,500, 4,600. That's an upper strike, but an immediate one, 24,500. That's the first resistance level, because the aggressive call writing happened. And in fact, put writing now, you can find some feet maybe around 24,200, 24,300. Maybe now, Snehi, it appears as if, we might not fall that much, but we can consolidate. Market at least started finding its feet. At least there's a put writing what we can see from.
Absolutely, some stagnancy is in fact what we're expecting. But hey, well, as long as we're not falling further, that also seems to be a good thing.
The trend is changing every day. You can't.
Absolutely, that is also not much happening in a market like this. Is also in fact a very good thing happening for the market. But let's move on then, and let's go across and also listen into the management from Sona BLW. We have Vivek Vikram Singh, MD and Group CEO at Sona BLW. He says that the acquisition of Escorts railway business will be EPS accretive from day one. Remember, this stock has done phenomenally well for itself amid a falling market today. 13% higher is where the stock has ended. Let's go across and listen in to the rationale of the management behind this acquisition of Escorts Kubota's railway business.
This one should be EPS accretive from the first year itself, and hence it's a fairly good value for us. One of the things that is very important for us is that it should start being accretive on an EPS basis pretty much immediately, right? 4,000 crore, if we'd bought it at, it would not have. It would have taken way too long. And in an uncertain and cyclical industry like railways, you can't be paying that much. I think we paid a fairly fair price.
All right, so this was one news on which both the stocks reacted, of course, in the reverse direction. But then a good day for Sona BLW. But a bad day, another bad day coming in from the commodities and especially the aluminium set of counters. Hindalco was under pressure due to weak Q3 results from Consilium, and that's a Paris-based global manufacturer of aluminium rolled products. And Ashesha joins in with more details from this particular piece of news. Ashesha.
Well, absolutely. Hindalco is taking a knock in today's trading session, down nearly 6% after Paris-based global manufacturer of aluminium rolled products, Constellium, reported its numbers. And more than the numbers were of course on the weaker side. It has gone ahead and come out with its guidance on demand, which continues to remain on the weaker side from across the board for all the segments, be it aerospace or for other segments like automotive. Demand continues to remain weak and across geographies. North America demand is weak, and their outlook on demand from European business also continues to remain on the weaker side. In fact, they say aerospace demand has started to slow down. Commercial aerospace OEMs are dealing with supply chain challenges, and that is impacting aerospace demand. As far as automotive segment is concerned, they say weakness accelerated in automotive segment in European region, and they saw a sharp decline in demand in North America in most industrial markets as well. Remember, this is having an impact, a rub-off impact on Hindalco, because Novelis generates about 18 to 20% of its revenue from automotive segment, about 2% from aerospace business, and it generates about 17% from automotive and 23% from specialty business. And that is the reason why we are seeing an impact on Hindalco. So clearly, demand environment for aluminium rolled products continues to be on the weaker side, and hence Hindalco is down nearly 6% in trade today.
Okay, Ashesha, thanks so much for taking us through that. Let's also go across and listen in to the management of KPIT Tech. They say that the second half is expected to be more turbulent for KPIT Technologies. This is according to Sachin Tekekar, the president and joint MD of the company. Let's go across and listen in to the word coming in from the outlook going ahead, from the roadmap he sees for the company in terms of recovery in auto spends, as well as what's important to note is that the stock was down and out in today's trade. So let's go across and see if the outlook has turned positive for the company or what the management has to say.
We have delivered the first half of the year has been pretty good, well in line with our expectations. And we knew that the second half was going to be slightly, there was going to be a little bit of turbulence. What is actually happening is many of the European OEMs, specifically the ones in Germany and France, they are trying to figure out what this means to them from the long-term perspective, right? Which markets they want to play in, how do they remain competitive, hence which kinds of programs they pick and which kind of programs they don't pick. The good thing for KPIT is we are part of all of those conversations. These spends cannot be postponed any further. I think, there is tremendous pressure and, programs need to get started in their new avatar, and there has to be consolidation. And those are the conversations that we are having. Now, when you have long-term, meaningful, big conversations, they take a little bit longer than short-term conversations. So we do believe that it's a question of 1 or 2 quarters and not anything beyond that, because beyond that, I don't think many OEMs can afford to push these programs out.
Okay, and that's what we saw, a big hit coming on KPIT. The stock was massively down today in the trade today. So this one is very clear. Street is reacting very sharply on the earnings if it's on the flip side, whereas on the good numbers, sometimes the impact gets subdued. List of stocks where there was a news on the back of earnings or other news which were buzzing in trade today. Gaurav is joining in with that list. Over to you, Gaurav.
Well, yes, a lot of stocks buzzing on the back of the numbers. So first, let's talk about CSB Bank. When we look at the numbers, net interest income increased almost by 7%, while net profit increased by 4%. But the surprising thing was the asset quality, because when we look at gross NPAs that have improved almost by 1 basis point, net NPA was also stable, and as a result, we saw some positive uptick in this counter. Next, let's talk about LT Foods. We saw some kind of pressure in the stock price, and the reason being that when we look at revenue, that increased only by 6.6%, while net profit declined almost by 5% on a YY basis. We saw some compression in EBITDA margin as well, and as a result, we saw some pressure in the stock price. Next, let's talk about Ujjivan Small Finance Bank, because when we look at the numbers, profitability declined almost by 29% on a year-on-year basis, and at the same time, we saw some kind of pressure building up in the asset quality because gross NPAs were stable, but when we talk about net NPAs, we saw a deterioration of around 15 basis points. As a result, this stock ended in the red today. Next, let's talk about Colgate, because when we look at the numbers for these companies, revenue inclined almost by 10%, but we saw some compression in EBITDA margin. EBITDA margin declined almost by 200 basis points on a YY basis, and as a result, we saw some pressure in this counter as well. And lastly, let's also watch out for IIFL Finance, because we got the numbers, and at the same time, now commentary has also come from the management. What they have highlighted is that the gold loan book has gone up from 10,000 crore rupees to 12,000 crore rupees ever since they have started the gold loans. And at the same time, what they have given is that the guidance for FY25, they say that home loans are expected to grow at around 20%, while other businesses are likely to grow in the range of around 16 to 18%. As a result, we will be watching out on all these stocks on the back of the updates that we have received today.
Well, thanks, Gaurav, for that. Lots of stocks to watch out for even going into tomorrow. But on that note, we're completely timed out on this edition of Your Trades. Thank you so much for watching.
There comes a time when your heart calls for you to arise. Plant your feet solid into the ground. Decide your own limits. And then break right through them. Become something more. It's my time to rise.